All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. If you've ever wondered how a public school teacher's day is officially divided up, or how they actually get compensated for going above and beyond, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're unpacking a massive policy update, DepEd Order No. 005, Series of 2024. It's all about rationalizing teachers' workloads and figuring out the nitty-gritty of teaching overload pay. Now, this policy, it isn't just some random set of rules. It's actually firmly grounded in the Magna Carta for public school teachers, Republic Act 4670. The core philosophy here is super important. Teacher welfare is quite literally just as important as teacher quality. By setting up these clear, totally predictable boundaries for what's expected in a single workday, the department is really trying to build an environment where effective teaching and genuine student learning can actually thrive. So to make this as clear as possible, we're going to map out a teacher's day-to-day routine. We'll hit the new workload rules, break down the specific tasks, talk about the money, the compensation for extra hours, and finally, look at implementation and accountability. Let's kick things off with Section 1 and really look at the baseline rules of the 8-hour workday. Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. The policy uses this strict 6+2 formula. As government employees, public school teachers put in an 8-hour day, right? Well, that pie is sliced very specifically now. 75%, so exactly 6 hours, is strictly devoted to actual in-the-classroom teaching. The remaining 25%, or 2 hours, is set aside for ancillary tasks. Those are the duties incidental to normal teaching. It is a very clear line drawn right in the sand. The absolutely crucial takeaway here: a teacher cannot be required to teach for more than 6 actual classroom hours in a standard day. Whether those classes are in physical classrooms, virtual setups, or blended, the actual delivery of instruction hits a hard stop at that 6-hour mark. Now, we all know realities on the ground, like teacher shortages, sometimes mean you need a little flexibility. If the exigency of service requires it, teaching time can be extended. But, and this is a big but, the DepEd order explicitly caps this. Any actual teaching beyond those 6 hours is strictly limited to a maximum of 2 extra hours per day. No exceptions. And when you zoom out to look at the whole week, this means the regular classroom teaching load has to equal exactly 30 hours. Any single minute spent teaching a class beyond those 30 hours in a week, that officially crosses over into what the department defines as teaching overload. So we've got the classroom time limits down. Let's move to our second section and figure out exactly what fills up those remaining 2 hours. Those 2 hours, they are secret. They're reserved for essential ancillary tasks, and the order puts these beautifully into 4 main buckets. First up is curriculum planning, which is your daily lesson logs and LAC sessions. Second is curriculum delivery, getting those instructional materials ready. Third, assessment, grading papers, recording performance. And finally, homeroom guidance, which covers things like periodic attendance reporting and parent meetings. Now, here is something highly relevant and honestly a massive win for teacher welfare. It's all about the flexibility of where this work happens. The policy explicitly states that teachers do not need to submit documentary evidence or accomplishment reports for how they spend these 2 hours if they choose to do them outside the school premises. If a teacher wants to grade papers at their kitchen table at home, they are completely empowered to do so. No extra administrative red tape. How great is that? But wait, there's a unique twist for master teachers. For them, these 2 hours of ancillary time specifically include heavier leadership roles. They're expected to use this time for coaching, mentoring, providing technical assistance to colleagues, and acting as LAC coordinators. Basically, it's a structured way to ensure the most experienced educators have the dedicated time needed to uplift the rest of the faculty. Then, beyond standard teaching and ancillary duties, we have what are called teaching-related assignments. Think of your reading coordinators, school paper advisors, or sports trainers. Teachers might get these extra assignments based on their specific expertise. However, the catch here is that these designations have to be formalized. They need an official order signed by the school head, and they absolutely must align with the School Improvement Plan, or SIP. Okay, moving right along to Section 3, because this brings up the most practical question of all. What actually happens when a teacher works beyond those standard hours? Let's talk compensation. This is what I like to call the fork in the road for extra pay, and understanding this distinction is absolutely critical. If a teacher does actual classroom teaching beyond their 6 hours, like, say, taking on an extra class because someone is out sick, that earns them teaching overload pay. That's direct financial compensation. But on the flip side, if a teacher does extra ancillary tasks or teaching-related assignments beyond their regular 8-hour day, they don't get overload pay for that. Instead, they earn vacation service credits, or VSC. Now, for those qualifying for that teaching overload pay, the compensation is actually calculated at a premium. The order mandates that this pay must be at least 25% of a teacher's regular remuneration. The school head adds up all those excess teaching minutes every single week, and the payout is designed to happen quarterly, assuming the funds are available. For the non-teaching extra work, your currency is vacation service credits, and the exchange rate is completely locked in, rendering 8 hours of authorized ancillary or teaching-related services outside regular hours equals exactly 1.25 vacation service credits. But, you can't just stay late and automatically claim those credits. There's a process. Let's walk through the exact 6 steps to officially secure your VSC. It starts proactively. You have to get upfront authority from the school head detailing the date, time, and exact tasks. The school head evaluates if it's truly urgent. Then, after the work is done, the teacher submits an individual accomplishment report. The school head approves it, sends it up to the school's division superintendent. From there, HR preps a special order, and finally, the personnel unit officially logs the VSC in your leave card. A bit of a process, but definitely worth it. Once you've earned and recorded them, these vacation service credits become a really vital safety net. You can use them to offset absences if you got sick, or to avoid proportional salary deductions if you have to take personal time off. And, crucially, again, subject to the availability of funds, these accrued credits can actually be converted into sick leave or vacation leave credits and monetized. Now, as we all know, a policy is really only as good as its execution. So let's jump into our final section, because accountability absolutely matters when we're enforcing these boundaries. Let's break down the chain of command here. Up top, the central office, specifically the Bureau of Human Resource and Organizational Development, they provide the policy tools and are constantly working to streamline tasks. Then you have the regional offices, who evaluate the impact and run actual workload audits using the electronic school Form 7. The school's division offices act as your compliance monitors, making sure all the paperwork for overload pay is in perfect order. But the true linchpin, the glue holding this whole system together, that's the school head. They are the crucial frontline enforcers right there at the campus level. The DepEd Order is incredibly explicit about this responsibility. It places a really heavy mandate on school heads, stating they literally shall ensure that teaching load is equitably and fairly distributed among teachers. Whenever they assign teaching overloads or extra duties, the school head has to consider the teacher's specialization and ensure absolutely no one is unfairly burdened. They are basically the gatekeepers of teacher welfare. Ultimately, by protecting teachers' time, minimizing administrative red tape, and providing really clear avenues for compensation, DepEd Order No. 005 aims to just let teachers do what they do best, right? Teach. So with these explicit workload boundaries and compensation mechanics firmly in place, we leave you to ponder this. Will this structured framework definitively change the daily reality for our public school teachers, giving them the laser focus they need to truly elevate student learning outcomes? Thank you so much for joining us on this explainer, and as always, keep asking the big questions.